Welcome friends, James Corbett here with your Fukushima update for this 24th day of October 2011. It is currently 4 p.m. Japanese Standard Time, so let's get straight into today's updates. Here we are on the front page of FukushimaUpdate.com. So let's scroll down to the newest entries. For today, we have this entry, Food Safety in Japan, Random Sampling Results, and a Trip to the Supermarket. And that links to this YouTube video by YouTube user Aluminum Studios. It's a 32-minute video, so I won't play it for you here, but I do suggest that you go and check it out, especially if you live in Japan. For people who are concerned about food irradiation in Japan, I'm definitely recommend this. He goes into a lot of detail about the sampling results that are available, and also he talks about he actually takes you on a trip through a Japanese supermarket, so that might be interesting for people outside of Japan. But for people in Japan who are concerned about the food and where it's coming from, and don't know maybe how to read Japanese or don't know very much about Japan, they can use that as a guide for shopping in Japan. So again, I think that's a pretty valuable video, so thanks to Ian Goddard for pointing that one out to me. Again, I do suggest that you go and take a look at that video in its entirety. But let's get into Fukushima update for day 228, and today's highlighted article is from XSKF, which has this one, Fukushima 1 nuke plant, low contamination water being sprayed, and it is a YouTube video that apparently was released by TEPCO on October 7th. And I'll just play that for you in the background while I'm reading this story. It says, TEPCO is running out of space for the water storage tanks for ever-increasing treated water. Remember, 450 tons of groundwater coming into the turbine and reactor buildings every single day. So the company has been spraying the treated water, still radioactive, on the compound, ostensibly to suppress dust and prevent fire. TEPCO released the video of that first spraying on October 7th. What they are spraying is the water from reactors 5 and 6, supposedly not as contaminated as the water in the other reactors, but no one clearly knows because the company hasn't released the nuclide analysis for the water in reactors 5 and 6, except to say it is well below the limit for the release from a nuclear facility. I still wouldn't want to be anywhere near, he notes. So, a very interesting video from a few weeks ago, apparently, but he's writing about it today, and I thought it was very interesting, so I wanted to highlight that. Also, we have more Japanese media headlines from Daily Yomiuri. We have forests to be used to store radioactive soil. Oh, that sounds like a good plan. Government to check Fukushima pollen. TEPCO to sell shares in wind power firm, also from Daily Yomiuri. You'll notice that that's essentially the same as one of the stories that we were covering yesterday, but I've decided to try to put up as many different instances of these types of stories as I can find, because I think these stories tend to change from variation to variation in different publications, so it's important to track that, so I've put that one up as well. New levy prevents total power loss at nuclear plant in Ibaraki, from Mainichi Daily News. Mainichi Daily News also has this interesting one. New algae, a better radioactive absorber than currently used mineral, researchers say. And let's just click through on that. It has some pictures of this this substance that they're testing, so interesting to read about anyway. We have Hotspot Hotline from NHK, which links over to this video.
Citizens groups and local governments in the Tokyo metropolitan area have been finding pockets of high radiation since the Fukushima nuclear accident. The Science Ministry has launched a telephone hotline to receive their radiation reports and advise them on decontamination. Interesting enough. All right, so let's move on. Next one from Japan Today. Radiation hotspot in Chiba linked to Fukushima, say officials. A pretty important story, and one that we'll get more into a little bit later. But first, latest headlines from Informable.com. 2010 annual CNSC staff report on the safety performance of Canadian nuclear power plants. That's a Freedom of Information request. Fukushima Daiichi Reactor 3 equipment hatch opening pictures 3 and 4. Yesterday we had 1 and 2. A series of stills from video recorded at Fukushima Daiichi, and a still gallery of recently published images inside the buildings. So again, some very interesting original and source documents and Freedom of Information request documents and other such things coming out of Informable. For hardcore researchers. And then other headlines from around the world. We have government confirms 57.7 microsieverts per hour near Tokyo is linked to Fukushima meltdowns. That links over to enenews.com, so I'll read you a bit of that. According to Kyoto, the Kashiwa hotspot is linked to Fukushima, and Japan's Science Ministry reverses government claims after an on-site survey finds high amounts of cesium.
When the local government received a report about the 57.7 microsieverts per hour measurement at the site, it said the radiation was unlikely to be related to the Fukushima disaster. However, on Sunday, the Science Ministry and the city government said it is highly likely that rain tainted with fallout from the Fukushima plant was running into nearby soil, reports Kyoto. Well, that's not really a surprise. It's only surprising that they even attempted to say that that wasn't related to Fukushima without supplying another suggestion, but there you go. Next, MarketWatch TEPCO support panel unveil restructuring plan. From the news of Pakistan, fallout of Fukushima meltdown, and that's talking about that blood clot problem of evacuees that we were noting yesterday. Japan Trade Ministry wants at least $33 billion in TEPCO cost cuts from Reuters Africa. And then a pair of interesting, matched, and completely conflicting reports, one from MarketWatch, TEPCO to sell all uranium mining rights, and then one from Reuters, Tokyo Electric says no plan to sell all uranium stakes. So a little he said, she said there between MarketWatch and Reuters, and who really cares? Because, again, that's just getting into the little soap opera of these tiny sales and cutbacks and things they're going to do to try to recoup just a tiny, 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 tiny bit of the $1 trillion that they're going to be asking for from the Japanese taxpayers and even, people who come over on tours or visits to Japan are going to be paying for this disgusting disaster that Tokyo Electric has only really served to make worse and worse. So there you go. And then one more for today. We have this post. It's from japanfocus.org. It's a little bit dated. It's September 24th, 2011, but I just saw it today, and I think it's worth taking a look at. Bringing the plight of Fukushima children to the UN, Washington, and the world. Aileen Mioko Smith with Mark Selden. And just the explanation here, Aileen Mioko Smith, Executive Director of Green Action based in Kyoto, has been working to eliminate Japan's nuclear power reactor since 1983. And it has a link to Green Action for updates on the nuclear plant earthquake and tsunami crisis. This interview was conducted in New York City on September 24th, 2011. And it notes Smith is co-author with W. Gene Smith of Minamata Words and Photographs. So I'll just read a little bit of this for you. Aileen Mioko Smith of Green Action Kyoto speaks with Mark Selden in New York about recent developments in Fukushima and the U.S. tour by anti-nuclear activists from Fukushima and other parts of Japan. 75% of Fukushima's 300,000 children are going to schools that are so contaminated they would be radiation control areas in nuclear plants where individuals under 18 are not legally allowed. The Japanese government won't evacuate people unless radiation levels are 4 times what triggered evacuation in Chernobyl, Aileen Mioko Smith pointed out. And it goes on from there. I think this is important because obviously the children's health and safety is the number one priority in all of this. And we know that children are especially affected. As we noted yesterday, that German study of children living near nuclear power plants twice as likely to get leukemia. And that's nuclear power plants that haven't been affected by the type of crisis we see going on at Fukushima. So a very important story and interview. I hope you click the continue reading to go to japanfocus.org to continue reading the entirety of that. And again, it's a terrible situation for the children especially, and being previously a Japanese teacher in the Japanese school system here, even in my part of Japan, way on the other side of the main island, we had some students who had moved from Fukushima. Their parents at least had the sense to get them out of that area and over to a school basically on the other side of the country. It was 700 kilometers away, So it is a terrible situation for the children. Anyway, that is the updates at FukushimaUpdate.com for today. I hope you're enjoying these updates, and I hope they are of some use to you. So thank you again for all your support.